That satisfying pop times when you crack your knuckles, that's not your bones grinding together, it's actually tiny bubbles in your joint fluid throwing a microscopic rave and then instantly disappearing. Yeah, your fingers are basically a soda can you can't stop opening. So are you slowly turning your hands into arthritis machines like your grandma warned? Or are you just aggressively releasing joint champagne? Let's zoom inside your knuckles and find out what's really making that noise. That loud, satisfying pop when you crack your knuckles sounds like something is snapping or grinding, which is probably why so many people picture their joints slowly turning into a bag of gravel, but what's actually happening is way weirder and honestly kind of elegant. Inside your joints there's this slippery substance called synovial fluid, which is basically a biological lubricant packed with dissolved gases like nitrogen and carbon dioxide, kind of like a microscopic soda. When you pull or bend your finger, you're increasing the space inside the joint really quickly, and that sudden drop in pressure makes those dissolved gases come out of solution and form a bubble. It's the same basic idea as opening a soda bottle, except the soda is inside your knuckle, and the bottle is your skeleton. That bubble either rapidly forms or collapses, scientists argued about which, for decades, but either way, that rapid change creates the popping sound you hear. So, instead of bones grinding, you've basically got tiny, fleeting bubbles doing a dramatic entrance and exit inside your joint. It's less like breaking something, and more like your knuckles briefly hosting a microscopic rave, complete with popping sound effects. For years, cracking your knuckles has been treated like a fast track to arthritis, the way eating too much sugar supposedly turns you into a human candy cane, but the science just doesn't back it up. One of the most famous examples is a doctor who cracked the knuckles on only one hand for over 60 years, while leaving the other hand alone, which is either impressive dedication or a very specific hobby, and at the end of it, both hands were basically the same. No extra arthritis on the crack-happy side. Larger studies have also looked at habitual knuckle crackers versus non-crackers and found no meaningful difference in arthritis rates. Arthritis is more about wear and tear, genetics, inflammation, and age than it is about occasional joint pops. So your grandma wasn't trying to mislead you, she just didn't have access to decades of joint research and one extremely committed guy treating his own hands like a long-term science experiment. The takeaway is that the sound might be annoying to people around you, but it's not secretly sabotaging your joints. If you've ever tried to crack the same knuckle twice in a row and gotten nothing but disappointment, that's not your joints being stubborn, it's physics taking a coffee break. After that bubble forms and the pop happens, the gases don't instantly go back into the synovial fluid. They need time to redissolve, which usually takes about 15 to 30 minutes. Think of it like shaking up a soda, opening it, and then expecting it to instantly recarbonate itself so you can do it again. Your knuckles just aren't that efficient. So that quiet period after a crack is basically your joint resetting its internal gas balance, slowly absorbing those molecules back into the fluid until it's ready for another round. It's a built-in cool-down timer, like your body saying, "Hey, that was fun, but give me a minute to refill the bubbles before you try that party trick again." That oddly satisfying sense of relief after cracking your knuckles feels like you just fixed something important, like you aligned your skeleton back into its proper setting, but your bones were never out of place to begin with. What you're actually experiencing is a combination of pressure release and nerve response. When the joint stretches and that gas bubble forms, it changes the pressure inside the joint capsule, which can reduce stiffness and activate sensory receptors that tell your brain something just changed. Your brain, being a big fan of novelty, interprets that as relief. It's similar to stretching after sitting too long. You're not repairing damage, you're just changing the mechanical and sensory environment in a way that feels good. So the satisfaction isn't fake, but it's also not your body going, "Ah, yes, finally, we are correctly assembled again." It's more like your joints briefly hitting a refresh button that your nervous system happens to enjoy. Now, before you take this as full permission to crack every joint like a human glow stick, there is a small caveat that makes things a little more nuanced. Some studies suggest that people who crack their knuckles a lot may have slightly reduced grip strength or a bit more hand swelling over time. Not dramatic, not life-altering, just a subtle difference. The idea is that repeatedly stretching the joint capsule and surrounding ligaments might make them a tiny bit looser, kind of like repeatedly stretching out a rubber band. But here's the key part. This doesn't seem to translate into joint damage or arthritis. Your joints aren't crumbling, they might just be a little more relaxed than average. So the real risk of cracking your knuckles isn't that you're destroying your hands, it's that someone nearby is slowly losing their patience with the sound. Scientifically speaking, your joints are fine. Socially speaking, you're rolling the dice.